What's going on, everyone? My name is Billy No! And today I have a really different commentary for you. Those of you who have followed my channel for a little while, you know that I'm pretty off the wall and crazy, and I like to upload some random ass shit, to talk about dicks a lot, talk about some gay stuff. I'm very off the wall with my commentaries, but today I have something very different for you. I actually have I've talked about it before, but I'm actually a theology major. Theology is the integration of faith and reason, or philosophy, to come to truths about God, or at least reasonable assumptions. A lot of people think that's kind of weird, but it's a lot of fun because it's using a lot of reason and faith, and it just kind of brings it together in a totally different way. Because a lot of people think that like religious people are totally unreasonable, and that is definitely not the case. So today I have for you a demonstration that God exists. Now, this isn't a demonstration in the sense of a philosophical way. In philosophy, a demonstration means a complete proof, but in theology, it means more of it's not a total proof, but it gives a lot of strong evidence. So basically, I'm going to give you a lot of evidence that God exists. If you're just going to come here and troll, please just, don't even watch the video. But if you're here for some philosophical discussion, then, I'm your guy. So that being said, let's get started. So I'm going to be drawing my discussion from St. Thomas Aquinas, who he is extremely famous. He lived in the 13th century, and he is considered one of the smartest guys to ever live. He is just so ridiculously clear and concise in the way that he talks about God, and he presents some very strong arguments. So, this is taken from the Summa Theologiae, which is the compendium of theology, his compendium of theology, excuse me. And this is Summa Theologiae, Book 1, or Section 1 really, Section 2, and Question 3, whether God exists. So Thomas proposes that there are 5 ways of demonstrating that God exists. Once again, demonstration is not a complete proof in theology. So the first way is that of motion. He calls God the first mover. And he says that motion can be broken down into potentiality and actuality. Now, when he refers to actuality, just think of kinetic energy. So you have potential energy and kinetic energy. And basically, he says that nothing that is pure potential motion can be put into kinetic motion except by something else that is already in the process of kinetic motion. It's already reached actuality in as far as motion goes. This goes along with Newton. An object at rest will stay at rest until acted upon by an outside force. So consider the universe a force, or an object rather, and it has been clearly put into motion. Well, Thomas says that there had to be something that put it into motion. It couldn't have been put into motion by itself because, it doesn't make sense with physics. Or, just motion in general. I know that sounds a bit odd. This cycle of putting something into motion, where one thing puts something else into motion, which puts something else into motion, which puts something else into motion, that can't go on to infinity. So there had to be some first motion which has existed from all time. So naturally we would say that is God. God is the first mover which put all other motions into motion. You see, for God is pure actuality in motion. I know that this is a bit difficult to follow, and I am not as clear and concise as Thomas, but hopefully it's making a little bit of sense. The second way is the first efficient cause. So this harkens back to Anaximander, who was one of the first Greek philosophers, and he said that the source of a system must exist outside of the system. So basically, the world could not be caused by itself. The source of it had to be outside, and that outside source, again, must be God. Now, this sounds very similar to the first one, but it is different, and that's just because Thomas likes to be extremely thorough, and he likes to refute any possible counterexample. And with this one, it was that the universe could have caused itself. So then, St. Thomas's third way is existence. This one gets a little trippy, it's weird, but it makes sense if you think about it for a long time. So, if everything had the possibility to not exist, then there would have been a time when something did not exist. It had to have come into motion if everything had the possibility to not exist. Do you see what I'm saying? So then everything could not spawn from nothing, because according to that there would be a time where there was nothing. And it wouldn't make sense that everything in this universe, I mean the universe is massive, and to think that that came from absolutely nothing is a bit absurd, you know? It doesn't quite make sense. So there had to be a first existence that caused all other existence, and that existence would be God. So the fourth way is of perfection, and this is taken from Plato's theory of forms, which he said that things are like, we always make the comparison of things as being better or worse. And he says that for every relative judgment of better or worse, there must be an absolute, like some ultimate form. And that form is perfection. So to say that, like, my laptop is better than your laptop, I have to have an idea of perfection in mind. I have to be able to say that there is some perfection which one is closer to than the other. Which doesn't quite make a lot of sense, but if you think about it, it does. It's an airtight argument that Plato made. It's one of those things where it's hard to argue against, even though it doesn't quite make sense right away. Just let it sit with you for a second, and it might make sense. So, you know, naturally we have this goodness, beauty, all sorts of things which must have some ultimate form, which we would attribute to God. And then the fifth and final way is intelligent design. So a lot of you have probably heard this before, but basically when you think about it, like, it's basically that the world just worked so perfectly. Like physics and chemistry, everything works together in symmetry, and it's almost like, I mean, it honestly is like there was a grand design, you know? Like there's some greater purpose or goal to everything. And, you know, this is kind of like the look around you theory, and it's like, you know, just look around. The plants and the trees, it all works so well, and there isn't, I mean, we have like gravity, so we're not just floating out into space and all. It just seems so deliberate, if you know what I mean. So we would have to say, I mean, I would say as a Catholic that that order was created by God, you see? So then, how am I doing on time? Pretty good, okay, nearing the end. But here Thomas makes a crucial reply to the objection that there's evil in the world. And you know, actually, I think I'm going to have to end it off here. So if you liked what you heard here, please come to my channel. Once again, I would really like to thank the Mark of J for considering uploading this. I'm not sure if he's going to or not, but I'd really appreciate it if he would, just because this is a topic that's worth thinking about, even if you're an atheist. I mean, it's worth thinking about, you know, just to really know what you believe. So next time I discuss this, I'll be discussing the existence of evil. So if you want to check that out, please come check out my channel. So that's about all, everyone. Bye-bye. I love you.